request of the Queenston Residence Association. And we do so for the following reasons. The Queenston Residence Association represents a good portion of the Queenston residents, and they've done this request, or they've asked for this, due to the important architectural, historic, and community values of the property and the building. The site is in the midst of a living landscape in Queenston, which was in the middle of the hugely important events of the battle on October 13th, 1812. While Queenston Heights, just up from this site, has been the focus of the upcoming celebrations of this war, Laura Secord also started her trek here, and according to the diary of Lieutenant John Beverly Robinson of the 3rd Regiment of the York Militia, who was right in the thick of the battle, it was just along the road from this site where 3 of their American bateaux landed at the hollow below Mr. Hamilton's garden. And in your background it said Mr. Hamilton was part owner of this property at one point. It is a wonderful, the property itself is a wonderful little commons. Think of it as a commons that Queenston has, the same as we have our commons. And it's about in the right proportion too for the size of the actual community. As they worked hard to develop a secondary plan, we recognized that the Queenston residents wished to save the building and the whole of the lot, but compromised when agreeing to allow a few lots on the south end of the property. But this was understandable given the desire to save such a key building and the property, the bulk of the property. While some may say this designation will interfere with the development that is allowed under the secondary plan, there are several examples of properties being designated, and then when future appropriate development comes along, changes can be made. For example, 189 Ricardo next to Navy Hall, and there are a couple of others such as Peace Acres. Things evolve. If it isn't appropriate, as it may well not be, if it's a condominium or 3 stories or whatever, then it won't be allowed by council. And Professor Fritz's presentation made it very clear the legal aspects of all of that, and so nothing anymore. But I was interested that the building and the land had been in community use for so long. Members of the community, the Queenston Women's Institute, with the help of a wealthy Buffalo businessman, raised over $6,000 to build it to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the War of 1812. And for the community's use, particularly the community's use, the businessman made sure that the children from around in the rural areas came to that school. That was one of the conditions of his money. And the women of the community fed the school children there and made good use of it for community events until the Board of Education paid back $3,000 and took the building over in 1924. The Heritage Advisory Committee, as you have heard, unanimously recommended a designation due to the many really significant historic attributes of both the building. For example, the stone in the basement is from the Queenston Quarry nearby, and the school displays a unique and imposing Edwardian design by well-known architect A.B. Nicholson. Under the provisions of the Ontario Heritage Act 2005, the owner, i.e. the District School Board of Niagara, must be consulted, but is under the same planning constraints as other property owners in town. It should not be given the additional power of determining the future use of the property, nor should the council worry about the economics of any future sale by the school board. You might want to worry about the demolition though. This property and building are wonderful pieces of our Niagara-on-the-Lake history, which should be protected now and for the future by this heritage designation. It's a really important thing that you're going to be, hopefully going to be doing. Now, the second presentation is shorter. Do you want questions on that one?
I was just, does any councillors want to ask questions at this point on that particular site? Seeing none, please.